Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, is in focus now. Senator, thank you.
Thank you.
This is a grave day that we had hoped would not come. We know that Kyiv now is so dangerous that being above ground where you can be seen is very dangerous. We had hoped that a member of their parliament would be joining us along with you this hour, so we would be able to react to what he has to say as those European leaders are getting ready to put their own lives, presidents of other European nations, own lives to go into Kyiv to show solidarity. They're putting those lives on the line. I want to get your reaction to all of that.
Okay. Well, number one, I spoke to the Ukrainian ambassador yesterday, and she indicated to me that the Ukrainian military is holding its own on the ground, but the air power that Russia possesses is very difficult for them to deal with. So she was begging me to get Congress to rally behind the idea of sending the MiG fighters into Ukraine so Ukrainian pilots can regain control of the skies. They want more S-100, S-200, S-300 anti-aircraft systems to deal with the Russian air threat. She believes that they can handle the ground war. They just need more help when it comes to the air campaign. And I find it despicable, unacceptable to deny the Ukrainian people the ability to control their own skies.
Is President Biden leading or following when it comes to that issue?
He's AWOL. He agreed on March 6th, the Secretary of State said, that we would greenlight a transfer of MiGs, Polish MiGs, into Ukraine. We were okay with that. A few days later, when Poland asked us to be part of the transfer, we folded like a cheap suit. What I think happened is that the Russians told Biden and his team that if you send these MiGs in, that will be an escalation, and they were intimidated by Putin. We can't let Putin determine who's in NATO. We can't let Putin determine what we do to help the Ukraine. So, no, I think the president folded like a cheap suit.
Senator Graham, you know, the leaders of Czech Republic, of Poland, when you see these other leaders making the decision on their own, they're going in. If something happens to the Polish leader, we're in this. That's an Article 5, or is it only about the borders?
No, that wouldn't be an Article 5 violation. It'd be a man dying a very brave, noble death. I mean, at the end of the day, the United States Congress is far ahead of this administration. You had Amy Klobuchar, a Democrat from Minnesota, calling for a reevaluation of the denial of MiG fighters to Ukraine. There's plenty of bipartisan support to help the Ukraine with air defense systems and MiG fighters. So the administration has this cautious approach. You know what leads to escalation? Weakness.
Plain and simple. Inside Russia is another story that is going on simultaneously, and that's critically important too. Here's an example of what some of the Russians are doing, and remember, it is life-threatening for them to do this sort of thing. A Russian woman who ran on to live state TV news with a sign protesting the Ukraine war, Russia's invasion, is now being detained, but her attorney says they cannot find her, despite reports that she's being held in a Moscow police station. She held that sign up and said, "Stop the war. Don't believe propaganda." Ukraine's President Zelensky praised her actions personally and thanked her in a video out today. Thousands of demonstrators have been detained in anti-war protests since the invasion 20 nights ago. And look, Senator Graham, when I say they can't find these people, they vanish. It's a communist nation. Formerly, it's a dictatorship now, mostly.
Hello?
Your response to that?
Oh, yeah. Well, my response is that this young lady is in a long line of people that can change history. The bravery she had just amazes me. I talk about taking Putin out from Washington, but she's actually urging her own country, men and women, to take him out. The video she made explaining her actions was pretty compelling. She said that we need to seize the moment, that 10 generations of Russians will suffer because of this war criminal Putin, and then she was urging her fellow Russian citizens to get rid of the guy. I don't know if we'll ever hear from her again physically, but she will live in history. I hope she comes out of this okay. But I'm going to repeat what I've been saying. It's time for Putin to go. For 20 years, he's been a war criminal. He's committed war crimes in Syria and Chechnya. He has stolen his own people blind. We gave him a pass, and how can you be surprised that he's in Ukraine the way that we have, as a world, given him a pass? The passes are no longer available to Putin. The UN Secretary General said something I disagree with. We're not going to nuclear war. That's a bluff. Zelensky said, don't take that seriously, and I don't. A nuclear war ends with everybody losing. So the general staff of Russia is not going to commit mass suicide to please Putin. At the end of the day, somebody's going to win or lose. So the UN Secretary General is wrong when he says there's only losers in Ukraine. I tell you this, there will be a winner and a loser. And if Putin wins, God help us all. If the Ukrainians prevail, it'll be a better world. So send the jets. I'm going to introduce a resolution supporting the transfer of the MiGs and other anti-aircraft systems to Ukraine, and have every member of the Senate vote on it. I'm tired of sitting on the sideline and watch this administration conduct policy as if they're a deer in a headlight.
And what that will also show us is how unified that I'm hearing from senators that
Yeah.
you all are, bipartisan-wise. I mean,
Totally.
that will put on full display that you are oppositional to the White House in terms of your ideas and your decision-making and your bipartisanship. I want to get to this. The Biden administration says it has deep concerns over China's relationship now with Russia, although there always has been one. After reports that Moscow asked Beijing for military and economic aid after invading Ukraine. And reports, by the way, Senator, that included MREs. 2.5 weeks of fighting, and they're out of food, the Russian forces. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met for 7 hours with a top Chinese foreign affairs official in Rome yesterday. And I understand, Senator, I'm going to ask you to sit by if you can. Justin Trudeau of Canada is speaking. Let's go there live.
Sure.
It is my great privilege to introduce to you all the President of Ukraine, our friend, Volodymyr Zelensky.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Speaker, Prime Minister, dear Justin, members of the government, members of the Parliament, all distinguished guests, friends. Before I begin, I would like you to understand my feelings and feelings of all Ukrainians, as far as it is possible. Our feelings over the last 20 days. 20 days of a full-scale aggression of Russian Federation after 8 years of fightings in Donbass region. Can you only imagine? Imagine that on 4 a.m., each of you start hearing bomb explosions, severe explosions. Justin, can you imagine hearing your children hear all these severe explosions, bombing of airport, bombing of Ottawa airport, tens of other cities of your wonderful country. Can you imagine that? Cruise missiles are falling down on your terrain, and your children are asking you what happened, and you are receiving the first news which infrastructure objects have been bombed and destroyed by Russian Federation. And you know how many people already died. Can you only imagine what words, how can you explain to your children that you just full-scale aggression just happened in your country? You know that this is war to annihilate your state, your country. You know that this is the war to subjugate your people. And on second day, you receive notifications that huge columns of military equipment are entering your country, crossing the border. They're entering small cities. They are giving siege, they're encircling cities. And they start to shell civil neighborhoods. They bomb school buildings. They destroyed kindergarten facilities, like in our city, city of Sumy, like in city of Охтирка. Imagine that someone is taking siege, laying siege to Vancouver. Can you just imagine them for a second? And all these people who are left in such city. And this is exactly the situation that our city of Mariupol is suffering right now. And they are left without heat or hydro, or without means of communicating, almost without food, without water, seeking shelter in bomb shelters. Dear Justin, dear guest, can you imagine that every day you receive memorandums about the number of casualties, including among women and children? You've heard about the bombings. Currently, we have 97 children that died during this war. Can you imagine famous CN Tower in Toronto? If it was hit by Russian bombs. Of course, I don't wish this on anyone, but this is our reality in which we live. We have to contemplate, we have to see where the next bombing will take place. Your Churchill Square, we have a Freedom Square in the city of Harden, our Babin Yar, the place where victims of Holocaust were buried, and it has been bombed by the Russians. Imagine that Canadian facilities have been bombed, similarly as our buildings and memorial places are being bombed. A number of families have died. Every night is a horrible night. Russians are shelling from all kinds of artillery, from tanks. They're hitting civilian infrastructure. They're hitting big buildings. Can you imagine that there is a fire starting at a nuclear power plant, and that's exactly what happened in our country. Each city that they are marching through, they are taking down Ukrainian flags. Can you imagine someone taking down your Canadian flags in Montreal and other Canadian cities? I know that you all support Ukraine. We've been friends with you, Justin, but also I would like you to understand, and I would like you to feel this, what we feel every day. We want to live, and we want to be victorious. We want to prevail for the sake of life. Can you imagine when you call your friends, your friendly nation, and you ask, please close the sky, close the airspace, please stop the bombing. How many more cruise missiles have to fall on our cities until you make this happen? And they, in return, they express their deep concerns about the situation. When we talk with our partners, and they say, please hold on a little longer. Some people are talking about trying to avoid the escalation. And at the same time, in response to our aspiration to become members of NATO, we also do not hear a clear answer. Sometimes we don't see obvious things. It's a dire straits, but it also allowed us to see who our real friends are over the last 20 days, and as well 8 previous years. I am sure that you've been able to see clearly what's going on, and I'm addressing all of you. Canada has always been steadfast in their support. You've been a reliable partner to Ukraine and Ukrainians, and I'm sure this will continue. You've offered your help, your assistance at our earliest request. You supply us with the military assistance, with humanitarian assistance. You've imposed serious sanctions. At the same time, we see that, unfortunately, this did not bring the end to the war. You can see that our cities like Kharkiv, Mariupol, and many other cities are not protected just like your cities are protected. Edmonton, Vancouver. You can see that Kyiv is being shelled and bombed. City of Ivano-Frankivsk. It used to be, we were a very peaceful country, peaceful cities, but now they're being constantly bombarded. Basically, what I'm trying to say that we all need to do, you all need to do more to stop Russia, to protect Ukraine, and by doing that, to protect Europe from Russian threat. They're destroying everything, memorial complexes, schools, hospitals, housing complex. They already killed 97 Ukrainian children. We are not asking for much. We're asking for justice, for real support, which will help us to prevail, to defend, to save life all of the world. Canada is leading in these efforts, and I'm hoping that other countries will follow the same suit. We're asking for more of your leadership, and please take more, greater part in these efforts, Justin and all of our friends of Ukraine, all friends of the truth. Please understand how important it is for us to close our airspace from Russian missiles and Russian aircrafts. I hope you can understand. I hope you can increase your efforts. You can increase sanctions so they will not have a single dollar to fund their war effort. Commercial entities should not be working in Russia. Probably you know better than many in any other countries that this attack on Ukraine, it's their attempt to annihilate Ukrainian people, and there is nothing else to it. This is their main objective. It's actually the war against Ukrainian people. And it's an attempt to destroy everything that we as Ukrainians do. It's an attempt to destroy our future, to destroy our nation, our character. You Canadians, you know very well all this. That's why I'm asking you, please do not stop in your efforts. Please expand your efforts to bring back peace in our peaceful country. I believe, and I know that you can do it. We are part of the anti-war coalition, and jointly I'm sure that we'll achieve results. I would like to also ask our Ukrainian diaspora in Canada. This is a historical moment, and we need your support, your practical support. And we hope that with your practical steps, you will show that you are part of the modern Ukrainian history. Please remember, this is a practical modern-day history of Ukraine. We want to live. We want to have peace. I'm grateful to every one of you in the Parliament of Canada who is present there, to every Canadian citizen. I am very grateful to you, Justin. I am grateful to Canadian people. And I am confident that together we will overcome and will be victorious. Glory to Ukraine. Thank you to Canada.
Ukraine's president is someone who has made himself accessible to the world, not just to tell their story, but to tell ours. What will the world do? He said, we want to live. Ukraine's future is being destroyed by Russia. They're taking down the flags of Ukraine. They're destroying our character and who we are. He is begging for help from overhead to deal with the Russian planes that are firing down below with everything they can drop from the sky to kill people and destroy the cities. He's begging now. And if you watch him almost daily, as the world can, he's speaking on Twitter, he's on television, he's doing YouTube videos, he's doing everything he can possibly do. His demeanor is different today. Kyiv is different today. That's part of the story, and we can't say we didn't see it. So what will happen next? Senator Lindsey Graham joins me again. And Senator, I want to thank you for your time and sitting by through the breaking news.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
You're next. He talks to the U.S. Congress tomorrow. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I believe that he's doing all he can do to protect freedom in Ukraine, that he's the strongest leader maybe ever to stand up to Putin, that the Ukrainian people are willing to die for their own freedom and sovereignty, that if we let Putin get away with this, much worse things are going to happen. So he's begging us for more help. I hear you, President Zelensky. I promise you I will make the Senate vote on whether or not we should send you more help. And I believe there'd be an overwhelming vote in the United States Senate to help Ukraine regain control of their skies. There's a lot of support to send the MiG fighters from Poland into Ukraine, that they will fly, not us. There's a lot of support for anti-aircraft systems that exist to go into the Ukraine so they can defend their skies. Victory for Ukraine was the message. I believe with all my heart and soul that we have the Ukrainians militarily and economically. If we crush the Russian economy and stay with it, and we label Putin a war criminal, that Ukraine can win. If Ukraine wins, it means China is less likely to go into Taiwan. What you see here is a dress rehearsal for Taiwan. If Ukraine wins, it means the Iranians will take us all more seriously. If Putin wins, China will surely take Taiwan. The Iranians will march toward a nuclear weapon, believing nobody will stop them, which will create a war between Iran and Israel. So, Mr. President Zelensky, I heard what you said. I will do my best to help you. What's so sad is that America is not doing all we can. I'm not advocating boots on the ground. I'm not advocating a no-fly zone at this point. But I am advocating that we up our game when it comes to helping Ukraine.
How fast can you get that done?
It's got to be done really quick. I'm drafting the resolution as we speak. We had 42 senators sign a letter urging the Biden administration to stick with their original plan to transfer the MiGs. I think it's now time to take that letter and turn it into a resolution of support for the MiGs going into Ukraine and more anti-aircraft capability. I want every senator to be part of history here. That young lady who appeared briefly on Russian television, her courage pales in comparison to almost anything that I've seen lately in terms of people inside of Russia. And Putin is breaking for him. He's not getting 40,000 Syrians to come in because things are going well. Ukraine is really holding their own on the ground. They're getting hurt really bad from the air. If we could neutralize the air advantage, I think victory for Ukraine is possible. But Putin is up against the wall at home. His military is underwhelming. The Russian soldiers don't know why they're there. We have a moment right now in the next coming days to deal a decisive blow to Putin. Can you imagine how it would help the morale of the Ukrainian people if we allowed the aircraft to go in and more missile systems to come in to protect them from Russian bombardment?
Yes.
It would be a morale booster for the Ukrainians, and I think it would deflate the Russian military. The Russian military's heart and soul is not in this. But I can tell you the Ukrainian people's heart and soul is in this. And that lady who lost her baby and died from the bombing of the maternity hospital, let's not let her die in vain. And I will promise you this, if Putin gets away with it in Ukraine, there's more coming.
Well, if he puts an eye on the Baltics, it may be part of the reason why Estonia, a very tiny country, is asking for a no-fly zone. And I know you say, well, we're not there. But they're making noise because they want the world to see potentially what's coming. and
yes,
you have
ma'am.
laid it out for us. Senator Graham, thank you for your time always, and we'll be watching to see the reaction and how quickly things can come together with your resolution, and whether or not President Joe Biden will listen to a bipartisan push from all of Congress. Thank you.
Thank you.